So, without objection, the senator from the 50th is excused. And wish him congratulations, too, Senator, if you can. All right. Any more? Well, all right. Secretary will call the roll of senators. Signify your presence by voting yea. Secretary will unlock the machines. It is now time for our morning devotion. All senators, please take your seats and cease all audible conversation. I would ask that the doorkeepers secure the chamber at this time. I'd like to recognize the minority leader, my good friend from the 55th District, to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance and introduce our chaplain of the day.
Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the state flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag which stands with justice and moderation. Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a great weekend and ready to get to work today. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you today a most respected and distinguished leader within the Muslim community, Aman Mundi. Aman Mundi has devoted his life to promoting understanding and tolerance between different cultures and religions. He is a strong advocate for peace and unity and has worked tirelessly to bring communities together and break down barriers of prejudice and hate. Aman Mundi is not only respected within the Muslim community, but also within the interfaith community. He is a bridge builder who has worked to create dialogue, understanding, and cooperation between different religions. I am confident that his words today will leave a lasting impact and inspire us to strive for a more and just and peaceful world. He currently serves the West Cobb Islamic Center in the greater Atlanta area as resident imam. He is an instructor of the University of Georgia in Athens, where he teaches an introduction to the Western religious traditions. He is a founding board member and former chairman of the Development Initiative for West Africa. Aman Bashir Mundi holds a bachelor's degree in physics with computer science from the Federal University of Technology, MENA, a master's degree in religion from the University of Georgia, and is currently a PhD candidate in the same department. It is now my pleasure to present to you Aman Bashir Mundi.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. I seek refuge in Allah, Almighty God, from the influences of satanic forces, and I begin with the name of Allah, God Almighty, the most gracious, the most merciful. All praise and gratitude is due to God, the Lord of all the worlds, the most gracious, the most merciful, the Master and the Lord of the day of judgment. You alone do we worship and serve, and from you alone do we ultimately seek help. Guide us on the straight path, the path of those whom you have shown your favor, not the path of those who have earned your wrath or have gone astray. With the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, O humanity, indeed, we have created you from a pair of a male and female, and we have made you into various nationalities and ethnicities so that you may know and appreciate one another. Indeed, the most honored amongst you are those amongst you who are most God conscious. O Allah, our Lord, Almighty God, our cherisher, our sustainer, the Lord of Abraham, the Lord of Moses, the Lord of Jesus, the Lord of Muhammad, the Lord of all the prophets and messengers and all humanity, the Lord and creator and cherisher of all of us in our different hues and our different diversities, the black of us, the white of us, the Native American of us, the Latino of us, the Arab, Pakistani, Indian of us, the South African of us, the Asian of us, the male and female of us, the young and the old, the rich and the poor, of all of us. You are our creator, our sustainer, our cherisher, our benefactor. You have given us life, you have given us opportunities, and you have given us so many blessings. O Allah, we ask for your favors and your blessings upon this most honored house, the Senate of the great and glorious state of Georgia, that in their deliberations on behalf of the citizens and the people and the visitors of Georgia, that they put you first and they truly stand here to serve all of the people of Georgia without discrimination, without prejudice, without malice, and without undue favor. O Allah, we ask that you guide this house, that even in their various diversities as they sit here, their diversities in culture, in ethnicity, in race, in ideology, in background, in profession, that when they argue and even argue, they argue passionately, but they do so with utmost mutual respect between themselves, and that their diversity acts as a means of strength for them rather than a means of weakness, O Allah. We ask that you instill in us, in the face of fear, that you give us hope. In the face of poverty, that you bring us inspiration and economic and political progress. We ask that you give them the courage and the inspiration to see justice and truth as justice and truth. And we ask that you give them the courage to audaciously fight and stand for truth and justice. O Allah, Almighty God, our Creator, we ask that you inspire them to see injustice and untruth as injustice and untruth, and that you grant them the courage and the inspiration to oppose injustice, no matter who it is against and no matter who the culprit is. O Allah, we ask for peace in this state. We ask for peace in this nation. We ask for peace within nations of all the worlds, for you are our Creator and our Sustainer. O Allah, we ask that you bless this state with security, that you bless our environment, that you bless our fellow creatures who are our fellow travelers on this earth, and that you bless this Senate to leave a legacy that generations after them and generations after them will continue to bless them for the great and good works that they have done. O Allah, we humbly ask that you accept all the prayers and benedictions and invocations that we have made. Ameen.
If I could have your attention for a minute here, please. I know this being a GMA day, we have a lot of special guests in and around the Capitol. I know a lot of you probably went to the breakfast this morning. I have a special guest, a gentleman, or two gentlemen actually, who are longtime friends of mine. I've known them my entire life. Played ball with one of them's children, and then the other one, he and I played together, and his daddy coached me. And anyways, we've got a long history together. But I'd like to recognize Mayor of Jackson, Georgia, and Carlos Duffy here, and his lovely wife right here. Thank you, Carlos. And also Theodore Patterson, longtime city council member from the city of Jackson. Let's give him a round of applause there. So, two fine gentlemen who do great work for their communities and have a servant's heart, and I think that's what you always look for in elected officials. Also have another special guest today. We have a Congressman Rich McCormick here with us today, and Congressman McCormick is excited because he gets to come to a chamber that is orderly and organized and gets things done. And I told him we could probably lend him the playbook if he wants to take back to D.C. But no, it is an honor to have Congressman McCormick here today. He is a decorated Marine helicopter pilot graduated from the Naval Academy. Also went and graduated medical school from Morehouse College right here in Atlanta, and it still is a acting, emergency room doctor, I believe, there at Grady. And just a real, he's a husband, he's a father. He is somebody who is committed to the people of the 6th District of Georgia. He's done a great job already being assigned to a very high-profile committee there in D.C. And let's please give a warm Senate welcome to Congressman Rich McCormick.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here amongst you, the last line of defense against an overreaching government. It's very much my intention to make sure that you are empowered, because I believe that you are a better representation to your constituents than I am. The smaller the government, the more representative. And I will do whatever I can to serve our constituents. I've told my district manager, who is my deputy chief also, that there is no greater responsibility we have to respond to our constituents, both Democratic and Republican, when it comes to their needs in dealing with those three-letter organizations up in the federal level that sometimes don't do what we need to do when we serve our people. One of the things I was really focused on when I was talking to Lieutenant Governor and also to my state senators, including Greg Doles also, thank you very much for being instrumental in me getting in front of you today, is that I realized that when you guys control the state, and I'm a big believer in the 10th Amendment, I'm a big believer in keeping the federal government from getting in the way of you doing good things for your constituents. But when we have that synergy, and Clint Dixon, another one of my state senators, great to see you here today. Sean Still, I know you're out here too. I got several of you out here, but every single one of you, Brandon Beach, good to see you too. Every single one of you, when you represent your people on the state level, that 10th Amendment is sacred. And I want to make sure that when we are looking at government, and this includes you too, that when you're representing the ultimate minority, which is the individual, that we take that very much to heart when we talk about everything, every law that we make, every law that we get rid of, but that we're working together with that in mind, that each individual has inalienable rights granted to us by God, not by a government, that we have a unique government created in the one time in history that you had a country started on the premise that people would be empowered over a government and not government over a people. So with that, I want to just thank you very much for this opportunity to get to know you, to serve with you, to empower you, the local representation, to do your job the best you can possibly do. God bless you with wisdom, God bless us with synergy as we work together for the benefit of this great nation and its great people. Thank you.
Before we get started with our business of today, I'd like to recognize the senator from the 32nd to introduce the Doctor of the Day for us today. Senator?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to introduce you all to Dr. Joanne Zhu, who graduated from UT Southwestern in Dallas, did her residency at UNC in internal medicine, and she's been practicing hospital medicine since. She joined WellStar about 10 years ago, and she's currently the program director for WellStar Kennestone Transitional Year Residency Program. She's teaching faculty for inpatient medicine at Kennestone and assistant professor for MCG. She's also the president of the Cobb County Medical Society for 2023, and she serves on the board of directors for the Association of Hospital Medical Education. She has a lot of other interests, including perioperative medicine, healthcare policy, and physician wellness. And I will let you know that some of us who are medically oriented reviewed our medical emergency kit and our AED today. But if you need anything, please go and see Dr. Zhu or one of us in the chamber. And I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Zhu right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet everyone here this morning. And as a hospital medicine doctor since 2005, I have witnessed firsthand how healthcare policies can impact our patients' care on a daily basis. So I just want to say thank you for your hard work, the sacrifice you've made to be here, and rendering careful deliberations on these policies, and allowing us to provide highest possible quality of patient-centric care, ensuring patient safety, and so on and so forth. So thank you very much. And then I want to say I love to see all of you in our office, but I know you're going to say no to that. But we're here, and I'm honored to be able to provide some service to you today if you need us. And have a good session otherwise. Bye-bye.
Are there any unanimous consents? I'll call on the Mr. Pro Tem from the 18th.
Good morning, Mr. President. I would ask unanimous consent that Senate Rule 1-2.3C be suspended to allow senators to be assigned their seats according to the seating arrangement in place today. And I would also ask on behalf of this body that we extend our thanks to our secretary, who's been very patient and cooperative in letting senators extend the rule in the normal time period for us to find our seats. And we appreciate you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. President.
The senator has moved from the 18th, has asked that unanimous consent to suspend the Senate rules, Rule 1-2.3, to allow senators to be assigned to seats according to seating arrangement in this chamber today. Is there objection? All right. Everyone knows there's nothing more important than your seat in your office in the Senate right here. So I hope everybody can agree on seats today. So hearing none, the senator motion is granted and the seats have been assigned. So thank you, Senator. And thank you, Mr. Secretary, for all your hard work. So we should, for those freshman senators who are still displaced with office space, all that will be reconciled today because we had some business. We had a senator who retired, and so it shuffled our leadership rooms, and so we will have that. We have a race on there for the position that is opened up, which will cause the domino effect to get everybody settled in. So I appreciate y'all being patient, and I know Secretary Cook here will be glad to have that election over with, and so he can get everybody placed in. But he does an excellent job, so you can always depend on the Secretary here. Does any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Senator from the 56th, for what purpose you rise? Come to him. Hey, man.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning. Last Wednesday, violent criminal domestic terrorists took action and shot one of our Georgia State Patrol officers. He has been in and out of critical condition. He's going to have multiple surgeries, and I hope each and every one of us is praying for his wife, his children, and his community. Then this weekend, most of us again watched in horror as a demonstration turned into a riot, and that riot turned into violence, burning a state patrol car, smashing windows, and other private property. This will not stand. Interesting to note that minus one person from Georgia, everyone arrested was from out of state. They don't even live here. So let's send a strong message to them. Go home. You're not welcome. If you want to come to our state to incite violence and cause harm, then turn around before you came. I want to be really clear on something. We have the right to demonstrate and even protest. It's been the founding of our nation from back before we actually wrote the Declaration of Independence. But you do not have the right to block the street or the expressway. You do not have the right to squat on private property. You do not have the right to vandalize patrol cars or private property. You do not have the right to assault a citizen or a law enforcement officer. Because if you do any of these things, you are a criminal. And the only right you have is to remain silent and be placed under arrest and be fully prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. In Georgia, we unapologetically back our blue, and I hope we will join together as a Senate to stand strong for what we know is right and just. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
I now call on the senator from the 20th to speak to it.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise on a lighter note. For those of you that were in the Appropriations Committee hearings last week or possibly watched it online, you might remember that our state economist, Dr. Dorfman, talked about labor force, workforce needs in Georgia and the challenge we face with population in Georgia that is not growing organically. And I wanted to come down to the well this morning and just brag on one of our colleagues who's doing more than his fair share to address this issue of population growth, and that's our friend, the senator from the 50th. I want to congratulate him and his wife, Ashley, on the birth of their beautiful little girl, Hope Hatchett, last Thursday. So I hope he's watching, and congratulations, and I hope he's enjoying some great family time. And if I might indulge you just one more minute on some another point of personal privilege. When I returned to my office in my district Friday, I got this magazine with a really, really striking, athletic, handsome young man on the cover. And at the risk of pandering and maybe brown-nosing a little bit, I'm hoping I can get his autograph. So thank you.
He'll get you anything you want, Senator. Senator from the 25th, what purpose do you rise? You going to come to the front? Come on down, Senator. My senator, just newly elected, newly sworn in senator from the 25th.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's with honor that I come to represent my constituent with a proclamation from the city of Jackson, Georgia, recognizing and a proclamation for Burt Jones, Lieutenant Governor of the state of Georgia. Whereas William Burt Jones was born a sixth-generation native of Butts County, Georgia on April the 25th, and I won't say the year, but I could be your father. His legacy continues as he has answered a call to service with his election to the state Senate in 2012, and now taking on his new role as the 13th Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Georgia. The Honorable Burt Jones is committed to leading this great state, and therefore I, Carlos L. Duffy, Mayor of the city of Jackson, Georgia, proclaim our proud support of the Honorable Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones and proclaim our appreciation to his commitment to Middle Georgia, Butts County, and the city of Jackson on this 23rd day of January 2023. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate that. And thank you, Mayor Duffy. That's very kind of y'all. Theodore, Council Member Patterson there. Thank y'all very much. I do appreciate it. And, you know, we got good leadership in our hometown, much like a lot of you in this room do as well. So I appreciate that very much. I now ask the Senator from the 10th. Would you like to rise?
Thank you, Mr. President and members of this great body. I rise today to introduce two mayors from the greatest cities in our great state. First, Mayor Ford from the city of Stockbridge, and two city council members, Elton Alexander and Yolanda Barber. And of course, the other great city in the 10th district is my friend from the city of Stonecrest, Mayor Jasmine Cabo. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for the leaders from Stockbridge and Stonecrest for being here as well. We appreciate y'all being here. Senator from the 54th.
Good morning, everyone, friends and colleagues and y'all. I just want to take the time to come to the well this morning and let you know that this is that day that we all wait for every year, for this is the day that is Dalton Day at the state capitol in Georgia. And each of you will have a rug waiting for you this afternoon from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Freight Depot, and we would love to have you come join us and let us tell you about the great things in Dalton and what makes Dalton. If Georgia is a great place to live, raise, and work and raise your family, you know, Dalton is heads above, because literally it is truly the greatest place in Georgia to live, work, and raise a family. And let us come and tell you some of the great things that make Dalton Dalton. Give you a prime example. Did you know that in Dalton, Georgia, we have a remnant? We are the only place in Georgia that has a remnant of the original and historical Liberty Tree from Maryland, one that where those who first met were trying to stay away from the British soldiers so they would gather under the Liberty trees in the colonies. Well, we have in Dalton, Georgia, Georgia's remnant of the original Liberty Tree from the revolution of this nation and freedom being born upon the earth. And we're very proud of those little things about Dalton. We are a diverse culture, and we love what makes us Dalton, Georgia. And as I like to tell people, only people in Dalton, Georgia will understand this and get this. Hola, y'all. But we do in Dalton. We invite y'all to come down and find out exactly what it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The Minority Leader, a senator from the 55th.
Thank you, Mr. President. For my second time, good morning, colleagues. This morning, I stand before you to underscore why we are here and our duties to the constituents we represent. The Senate Democratic Caucus is prepared to work in a collaborative, bipartisan manner to come to an agreement on the many legislative matters and work we do on behalf of all Georgians. This will require us to be transparent and accountable, not only with each other, but to the people we serve. The people deserve nothing less of us. Our caucus will work to protect the rights of women and children and the services to which they are entitled. Services like critical needed health care for people across the state who are currently without access. Services like adequately funded public school system that effectively promote literacy, community engagement, and cognitive development, and services that promote women and children's safety, well-being, and economic opportunity. We hope that our work in the proposed new Committee on Children and Families will help us get there. We will protect the rights of Georgia workers and the services and benefits to which they are entitled. We want to ensure that our constituents who work hard every day have a living wage to make ends meet and take care of their families, that they have safe and affordable places and homes to rest their heads at night, and that they can rely on us when, due to no fault of their own, they need our support in between jobs. We will protect the rights of Georgia voters and election workers and the free and fair elections to which they are entitled. We will stand firm in our position that we can expand ballot access and civic participation while maintaining our election security and integrity. Georgia voters and communities should be able to elect the candidates of their choice without the partisan interference of lawmakers deciding who their voters are. And our election workers and administrators should feel free to do their jobs without fear of intimidation, harassment, or violence. And we will protect the rights of Georgians who have been historically marginalized and discriminated against. Building on the legacy of Georgia's civil rights legacy and its leaders, many of whom served the people from this very chamber we stand in today. So you see, if I may circle back to where I started, accountability and transparency in the way we operate as a legislative body is just the beginning, for they are the foundation of all our priorities and work on the behalf of the people of Georgia. With that, we look forward to coming to a consensus on many issues on behalf of all of our constituents. We owe it to them. Thank you, so let's get to work. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield.
Senators from the 42nd, you call on her for rise for point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, colleagues. I rise to say that I am grateful that many of us on both sides of the political aisle agree that violence is not the answer to anger or frustration. We share the outrage and horror at the state trooper injured, a young person killed, public and private property damaged, and at law enforcement attacked. And we applaud the Atlanta police who shut down the mob over the weekend quickly and arrested the perpetrators. Mayor Dickens and Chief Shirebaum sprang into action to stop the rioters and denounced the violence in no uncertain terms, along with many, many other leaders. Sadly, this is not the first time we are seeing these kinds of headlines. And if we don't come together here to lead by example, to find solutions to what is causing and enabling this kind of reckless behavior, we will continue to see violence in our communities with people shot and businesses vandalized. At the same time, we must protect the right to peaceful protest, which is foundational to our country, the United States of America. What good will spending our state budget on workforce development do if business owners can't ensure the safety of their property and investments? When someone builds a business, they invest in the community and rely on government to protect that investment and their customers. No policy that we pass in this chamber will ever fix everything or put an end to all violence and stop all problems. I know that. But we can reduce the probability that angry people will turn violent, harming others and destroying property, with support for law enforcement, job creation, excellent education system, mental health support, and support for families. It also must be noted that the proliferation of guns in society is endangering our citizens and law enforcement officers at almost unprecedented levels. I believe each of us here at the Capitol today is praying for the state troopers' speedy recovery and the families of the dead and arrested individuals. Many lives have been impacted. We should honor them with more than hollow words, though. We have the power in this chamber to make a difference. I urge all of us to commit to working together this session with the utmost respect for each other to demonstrate that civil discourse is the best and only way to resolve differences so we can pass policies that will support our state investments and continue to make Georgia the #1 place to do business. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
Thank you, Senator. Senator from the 1st.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last week at Appropriations, we heard from Department of Human Services about foster children in hotels. At the time last week, we had about 60 foster children in hotels. And I will tell you, frankly, that sort of took me aback. Started raising issues with that. So the chair lady of Children and Family and Health and Human Services will be having a hearing on hoteling for foster children on Wednesday at 3 o'clock. We hope to have some testimony from providers and hope to hear from the Department of Human Services and so forth. I will tell you, what spurred this on is to hear that the stories relating to children in foster care that are in hotel situations. And I will tell you, I do not care about necessarily the money that we are spending on hotel care. What I care about is that they are in a hotel and we look at that as a failure of our system. There may not be legislation that we need to pass, but we certainly need some direction on this, and we need to look at more of a fact-finding. And I'll tell you, unemotionally, we need to look at this, and we need to help with the correction relating to this. Because collectively, if we're letting this happen, we're not doing our job. So I welcome all of Health and Human Services, those on Appropriations with me, and Children and Family, 3 o'clock on Wednesday. Thank you.
No one else wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? There's no one. You have a consent calendar of privileged resolutions before you. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? If there's no request to remove, is there objection to the adoption of the resolution on the consent calendar? Chair hears none, and the resolution and the consent calendar is adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw or commit? No motions. I now recognize the majority leader for a motion.
Thank you. Test. Thank you, Mr. President. It appears that the 5th legislative day has come to an end, but I'd like to bring it to your attention that the House had to take a break this morning. So the Senate is way above and beyond where they are at this point on their 5th legislative day. So therefore, I'd like to move that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Tuesday, January 24th.
That sounds about par for the course there, Senator. Secretary will read the announcements.
The Rules Committee meeting is canceled. The Government Oversight Committee is canceled. The Transportation Committee meeting is canceled. The Agriculture and Consumer Affairs Committee meeting is canceled. The Health and Human Services Committee meeting is canceled. The Finance Committee will meet at 3 p.m. in Mezzanine 1 of the Capitol. The Judiciary Committee meeting is canceled. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The majority leader has moved that the Senate stand adjourned until Tuesday, January 24th, 2023 at 10 a.m. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. No. All those opposed? No. The ayes clearly have it.